question. Share screen real quick. Okay, so for today, we are going to do a few things, just actually two parts. We're going to use your Windows virtual machine that you previously used before the spring break that you created, or if you didn't, then you can use the one that I copied to your drive that I created. It should be under CIS27 2023. Hi. And that one, if you can refer to lab 6, you should be able to get the access information. So today we're going to work with Zenmap, which is a vulnerability scanner. This one is not stealth. This is commonly used in the industry. You can use this on Kali Linux and the Linux version, but we are going to use the Windows version. Okay. So to start, what you're going to do is if you have your folder on your drive, like for example, this one, what you can do is you can copy it to your desktop, right? Right click it, choose copy, or drag it to your desktop and then open it from your desktop. It's best that way because the clone folder that you have or the folder that you created when you created the virtual machine sometimes doesn't do well with VirtualBox if you read it from the external hard drive, right? So copy it first onto your desktop and then open it up and you should see the blue icon. So for example, if I'm using this one, right, here's my clone, just double click the VBox file and it should start, okay? But copy it to your desktop first. If you want to play it from your external hard drive, you can. Just keep in mind that it might not open. So it's best that you copy it to your desktop. All right. So we talked about, yes, question? So which one are you using? The one from last week? I mean, the prior week? Then it must be a password that you created. I only have, so if you don't remember the password, you can try using the other one. And the password for that one was from our lab 6. And I can find that for you. So because when you create your virtual machine, you input your password. So I wouldn't know your password, right? That was the one that we were using Kane and we created like the student account and the test account. Remember? So worst come to worst, you can always recreate your virtual machine. It takes about 15 minutes, right? Your ISO is in the Windows ISO folder. It's there. You know how to do that from the last lab. So you can create a new virtual machine and then set up the hardware and then mount the ISO after you click start. Okay, so let's talk about lab 8. So here I am in my virtual machine. Sorry. Okay. Now for the lab, it talks a little bit about network mapper. So Nmap stands for network mapper, right? Once you learn this tool, you should put it on your resume. It's very popular. Hi. For cybersecurity. So what it does is it is a way for it to detect any kind of vulnerability, like open ports, what's open, what's closed, what kind of operating system the other machines are running. So all you need to do is you need to be able to identify your target, which is the system that you're scanning against, right? So instead of using it in terminal, we are going to use the application with the graphical user interface. So this is often used in security audit. So when you hear the term audits, what it is just to look at the system issues, right? To be able to identify holes in the system or issues in the system. And sometimes we would do this as part of the regulation requirement. So when you look at the ports, remember we talked about ports is a way that the system communicates, right? It's a way that it can connect or use certain type of service. So open means that the target machine is listening to connection. So just like how we talked about doors and windows, right? In order to enter your house, we can go through the door if it's open or the windows if it's open. When you see the filter, that means that it is using a filtering system or there's a firewall. And in some cases, you can't even use the scanner because the firewall will kick you off, right? So this is a type of scanner that we cannot run stealthily. It is a little noisy. There is a stealth option for it. When you look at the ports and if it says closed ports, that means you cannot connect to it. So an attacker can use this tool to identify the open ports and use those ports to be able to enter a system. Okay? And so once we have our virtual machine running, okay, we're going to open it up. We're going to open up the VBox file, double click it, and then run it. So inside your virtual machine, you can use your Edge or formerly Internet Explorer. Okay, you can open that up. And then you are going to go to the download page. Okay, and you can do this on regular Windows as well, right? So it's going to take you here. And here is where you're going to select the right operating system that you're installing it on. So I'm going to click on Windows. And then I'm going to click the Setup EXE right here. Okay. So again, go to the download page. Click Windows. And then we are going to click EXE. Okay. You should save this in case something happens instead of running it as it downloads. So I click save and that's going to go into my downloads folder and then run. Okay. When you run the installation, just click on, read the prompt and then just click next. Use all the default configuration that it comes with. Okay. So make sure we choose Windows version. Now you can run this on Mac OS, depending on which Mac OS version you're using, and then of course your Linux. But if you're using Kali, it comes with it. Okay, and it is not like this, it's in the terminal, so no graphical user interface. And we saw Zenmap before, right? We talked about how we can use scripting with it. But this is the GUI version, which has, buttons you can click. Any question? Okay, very easy. Now, if you have your laptop, you want to run this on your laptop instead of running a virtual machine, that's fine, right? Okay. So in order for this to work, you need to have an NPCAP or WinPCAP. Right? This is a way that it can capture your traffic that is being sent through. Yes, question? I'm sorry. So, yeah, so it's not able to do. Onto your desktop and open it through your desktop. Hi, how are you doing? Okay, so we talked about how we need to have this file, right? And on the web page, you would see that as well. So here I am in the virtual machine. Now it says that this is the latest version. Okay. So if you see that, you can also download this. Okay. So when I wrote this, it was a 1.5 and they updated the version because it's open source. So it tells you here that when you do the installation, it's gonna walk you through, and you click install button, and it's gonna ask for the WinPCAP installation. You're just gonna ignore and click on finish. Okay. So now in the case that if you need the NPCAP, the exe is here. Okay, so if it tells you that, oh, it can't open the application because it needs this, then you can download it. But we don't need to do that right now. Okay. So once you finish the installation, it's gonna put an icon like this on your desktop. Okay. So you don't have to go, you can also search for the program. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna find our IP address in Windows, right? So in here, I'm gonna go ahead and type in CMD to open up my command prompt in the virtual machine. Okay, don't open it on the outside, open it inside your virtual machine, and then we're gonna open the command prompt here. Okay. Let me increase the font real quick. So I'm inside my VM and I'm gonna find my IP address. So I'm gonna do ipconfig /all. But this is not the only way that we can find the IP address. You can go through settings, under network, you can find it there. You can go through control panel, and I'll show you how you can do that, right? So once I type ipconfig all, right, this command, make sure we have a space before the /all. This, we're asking the system for the configuration of the IP address for our virtual machine here. Okay, so it gives you the computer name, right? The domain that you're connecting to. This is the MAC address. This is a physical address of the computer or the network interface card, right? And then additional information. So the IP address I'm looking for is this, where it says preferred. Okay. So that's what you're going to record for the answer for number 21. Look at your command prompt, whatever IP that's in there, that's what you're going to put down. That's what we're going to use. We're going to scan our system, right, using this IP address. Any questions? Okay, so we're gonna put down the IP address, right, for this. So 10.0. I think 215. Okay. And then the physical address, that's the MAC address, right? So I scroll up and this is the MAC address here. Okay. So put that down for your computer. So now you know how to find your IP address and your MAC address, media access control address, or your physical address. Then what we're going to do is we are going to close the command prompt, right? This is in hex value, hexadecimal. Okay. Now, the IP address might not be the same down the line, right? Because you see here where it says lease expire. So by tomorrow at 5 p.m., when I do IP config all, I might not get the same IP address, right? Because the DHCP, its job is to give out IP address. So this might be taken up by another computer or another virtual machine, right? Or it could be the same. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, right? So that's called dynamic address compared to static address, okay? So the server, its job is to do that. You see that here? Okay. You guys know what this one is for? So the default gateway is normally the router, okay? At home, this is your wireless router or your modem for your internet, okay? Think of gateway is where you pass through the gate to go in and out. So when we need that to go in and out of the internet, right? We need to leave our home to go to the internet. So that's the gateway. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to close this. We're going to double click our icon for Zenmap. And you're going to see it like this, right? So as you know that this also runs on a CLI, command line interface application. So it's taking its own command here, but you can use the GUI to select. So what we're going to do is we are going to put in the IP address that we found from the step 21, okay? So in your target field area here, you're going to do 10.0.2.15 or the IP address that you found. Now, it gives you several options in how you want to scan, right? So on the Linux level, we can put in the switch or the dash, whichever option that we want to scan. So you can do a quick scan that is faster. It's going to give you less information. It's not as verbose, right? So if you wanted to take a look real quick, we're going to do a quick scan. So it tells you here that once you put in your target IP address, you're going to select the quick scan for step 25. And you're going to notice that on here, it's going to give you the command. So on the command line interface level for the application, this is how you do a quick scan. You're going to do an nmap, well, that's the application name, right? -T4, and then the IP address. Okay. After that, we're going to go ahead and write down our command and click scan. This should take a few seconds or even 1 second. Now, depending on how far you are from the host, this can take a lot longer if you need to connect to several areas. So, any luck? Why don't you just make a virtual machine? What have we done? Deal? Okay. So when I look at this, what do I see? I see that this is the open port, right? See how it's color coding this for me? Okay. And then if you click on the ports tab, you're going to also see them again, right? Topology is a layout from how far I am from the host, right? It's telling me one hop. I am itself, right? Then host detail. So quick scan doesn't give you a lot of information. It's like a summarized information. Okay. Any question? So again, we just put in our target IP and then we select the type of scan that we use. And then we click the scan button. So pay attention to the command, because if you don't have the graphical user interface, you can install the application on command prompt and then run it through the CLI. So after we scan, we're going to take a screenshot, so you can use snippet, or you can just alt print screen and paste it right on the document. Then you're going to make note of how many ports are open. So the point in this is, after you scan, you need to put down some kind of information that you found, the result, right? Even in real life, I like to screenshot, because that way I can go back and take a look. So it's a lot easier for me to you know, put together a writing report for the client. So it is better that you just screenshot. And sometimes you have to explain this to people. So it's better that you have the image showing, oh, this is, you know, what I found, right? So it tells me here that I have 3 ports that are open. It's listed there. You can also find it on the ports tab. Now, if it's closed, it's going to show closed. So these are green. That means they're open. So the attacker, they can use this and they can find, oh, well, these are the ports that are open. Maybe I can use this port to enter the system, or use a certain service on that system. Okay, so answer those questions. Which ports are open? How many ports are open? And then click on the ports tab, and you should be able to look at the services. So how can I tell? If you click on the ports tab, under the service column, it tells you right here, right? If you don't know what it is, Google is your friend, right? Microsoft DS, NetBIOS. So NetBIOS has been around for a long time. This is used in older Windows version of the OS, but it's still being integrated so that way people can upgrade to different operating system, right? Back in the day, we didn't have IP address. We only have the computer name, which is what you see when you look like the host name. So that's how I'm able to connect to another system, is to identify it by its name. But that becomes very inconvenient, and it's not gonna, you know, it doesn't make up a faster network. So they implemented TCP/IP network, which is a way that we can use an address to be able to locate system or many system around the world. And that's what you have with the internet. Okay. So service that's listed here, right? Now, these sometimes need to be open in order to work. Okay. And then click on the topology. So click topology here. And you would see, so if, let's say that I'm scanning a target that's really far away, like, you know, across many networks, it's going to map it, and it's going to show me how many networks in between that I would have. Start, and you have to find the ISO that you go with. Because you don't have a ISO. All right. So we talked about topology, right? So it says how many systems are mapped to the network. Now the computer, it's not gonna only see itself this way. So what it is it's saying that I am here, right? Even though I'm scanning myself, it treats it like another computer, okay? Even though I'm using the same IP, okay? But I can also, so the local host, it sees it as a 127.0.0.1. And then this is the target IP that we put in. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the host details, which gives you the closed ports information. 97 are closed. No ports are filtered. 3 are open. And this can vary from system to system. Okay. And then always, sometimes you can expand, right? And shrink by just clicking the plus and the minus sign. Okay, so answer this question. Then we're going to click on the profile. So go back to this. Okay, so under profile, let's change it to intent scan. Now, intent scan has many versions. Every time that you scan, you're going to ping. And anytime that you ping the destination, the target system sees you. Okay, so this is not something that you can do where your target doesn't see you. So a lot of the scan that you do, they are going to see you. So when you ping, basically you're sending out packets. It's kind of like you're knocking on the door. You're saying, are you there? Are you there? Right? And it's going to respond, I'm here, I'm here. So when you ping, right, you can do a scan with no ping. Right? You can also, we can also do it with the trace route. That means that we follow the traffic, like putting a camera on that traffic and follow it from our system to the target system. So when you click intent scan, keep in mind that it does do the ping scan. Okay. All right. So once I've done that, okay, look at the command. So it's slightly different. So when you do the intent scan, you notice, right? It's changing this. It's still the same target, but your switch options are different. Okay. It's just the way that they wrote the function with the command. Then we're going to scan. So this one is going to be slightly longer. Okay. Because it's going to give you a little bit more information. And it's going to perform many scans within. Right? So see, it's still going to look for open ports. It's going to look at the services from those ports. It's going to run the script to scan. And it uses the NSE. We talked about this when we did the Kali Linux lab a while back. Okay. So if you want to know what the NSEs are, you can go to the website, right? The Zenmap website. And then you can go to the reference guide. And here, right, it talks, there's NSE, Zenmap scripting engine. And there are tons of script, and script can be used with Zenmap or Zenmap for attacks. Okay. So once I have the intent scan output, I'm going to screenshot it. And then I'm going to look at how many packets are sent. So I want to show you that when you do these scans, you're going to see that there's going to be lots. So here it tells me that it had sent 1,016 raw packets, and it's received this many packets. Okay, how can that be? Right, it is not one-to-one relationship. So when you do a ping, sometime when you send a request, the receiving system have to respond multiple times. So sometimes you're gonna have double the response for certain requests. Okay, so it tells me that one host is up, that host is listening, and this scan is done in 40 seconds. So what happens if I scan and it's taking longer than this, right? Maybe the system is far away. Maybe there's a firewall that's blocking you from generating a lot of the actual, ping packets, or generating a certain script. And that happens too, right? Because using security tools doesn't always mean that we're going to be 100% successful all the time. But this is a good way for us to look at our internal system and other systems to see what's wrong. Right? Any question? Okay. So just like before, you're going to look at some information, and on the intent scan, you are going to see additional things, right? Such as operating system. So it tells me that the target system is running Windows 10. So if you're scanning against other system that has other OSs, it should tell you, right? Let's say that I scan against a Linux server. It might not tell me the exact version. It might say Linux or Unix, or sometimes it's exact, right? So it tells me here that it is Microsoft OS. And then it shows me how many scripts are loaded. Okay. So the script result, look at this. It tells me the SMB2 security mode, signing enabled but not required. Okay. SMB is used in a lot of different things for Windows. And so for the signing here for the certificate, it tells me the actual date. So it's finding some of the areas, the weak areas of this particular target system, and it's listing that for me here. Okay. All right, so that was the intent scan. You're gonna get your result and write down the information. Now, you have to think about this, right? When you do these exercises, I hope that you remember, okay? Because we don't repeatedly redo them. And when you do these scans, write down important information that you find for your report. Like I said before, I normally take a screen capture so I remember what it looks like. And then I put down the detail. We don't just scan for fun, right? We scan to find information. So what kind of information we should look for? The target OS, how many ports are open and what kind of services, right? What kind of things that's result in our scripts, what kind of scripts was used, okay? And then we want to also look at, now if your packet size are really large, that just means that it's just generating a lot more, so you require more resources. Because sometimes, if they have a lot of things that are open, it's going to generate a lot more requests. You can also scan against the group. All right. So once we looked at the information, let me see if this works. Last time I remember that you have to use an IP address for that website. So Zenmap they actually put up a page called Scan Me. So we can use that. And this one, we're gonna do a quick trace route. Okay, notice that also our command is different. So when you use, so you have to use the IP address. Who knows how to find IP address for domain? Anyone know how? So if I have this domain, how can I find its IP address? Hmm? Yes? Okay, so you can ping it. Or you can do trace route with it. Very good. Another way is use who is. Yeah, IP lookup or who is. Right? So when you open up a browser, you can say who is. Right? There are tons of, whois.com domain lookup right here. And then you paste it. Search. Sometimes you can't find it. Yeah, sometimes that they don't list it. Okay. So you can use services like this to get information. And then sometimes they change it. So this is a way that they use the registration information. It's kind of like you have that license plate to a car and you need to find out like who's driving that car, right? You would go to where that car is registered, right? So sometimes we can't find it to who is. So if I do CMD like this, and then I can do trace route, right? Trace RT, sorry, Windows. Forgot. Ding. Says it cannot find host. Hold on. Yeah, just use scanme.org instead of nmap scanme.org. See if that works. Let's do it like this. Yeah, I think they change it. Instead of being a subdomain now, it's a okay. So let's do ping. I'm gonna do what you recommend, okay? Ping scan me.org. Oops. Okay, you can find that there. So here's the IP. What about trace RT? That's also giving you the IP there, right? So you can go several ways and you can use whois website. So back here, right? What we're gonna do is we can't use this. So our target is gonna be the public IP that's given to us there. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to Yeah, that's the quick trace route one, right? Okay. So in this trace route, it tells you that you're using port 80, and this is used for HTTP. So anytime that you visit a web page or a domain on the web, it's porting through port 80, right? Which is not secure. Then, so it's also scan this public IP. So it says it's resolving it by the domain. You see that? Scanme and map.org. It is still a subdomain. I wonder if you just put this in without the www, it should work. Let's see. Yep. So take this off. Or you can use this public IP. So after that, we're going to record the commands, and then we are going to look at the state of the host. Is it up or is it down? If it is down, it will tell you. Of course it's up because it's responding. Go back.
You gotta put in the I have to. No, no, this is not possible. Yeah, no, you gotta, yeah. It's just, I'll help you. I'm done already, yeah, I just gotta submit it. I did already everything.
Yeah, those are
So that one, oh, that one.
yeah, so if there's already a height, sure. I'm not CIS27.
That's a little bit, it's gonna work. But you already, the password is, CIS 27, that was from,
That's just for the regular, that's what the CIS 27 student account, right?
that's what, yeah, that's what it's just for last.
Yeah, it should be in lap 6 if you use
Yeah,
the 2023 CIS27.
Oh, let me check it. I mean, oh, you know, I got my phone over here.
Take a look.
The password. Could you create it for last time? No, I'm done, like I said.
Oh my God.
Okay. Then for B, he's super fast. He's always finished early. The only time that he doesn't finish early is in my forensic class. Because that class takes forever. All right. So the next part is on TP edit, right? So what we want is we want to be able to scan. So as you can see for Nmap, right, you can scan with the domain. Just take off the www dot, right? You can also select the type of scan that you want. We can do a ping scan. You can save your scan. Okay, so in case you want to go and look at it later, you can. Okay. So it tells me here that when I'm doing trace route, I'm following my traffic from my router, which is the default gateway, to the domain, right? So whenever you see the dot like this, that's a subdomain of the parent domain Nmap. Okay, so for 37, the only adjustment we did was we took off the www dot. So you can do scanme.org or scanme.nmap.org. It's the same, but I think using this is better. It's gonna give you better results. You find it?
I think it's this one. So, I'm 7, yeah.
If we're using the window from outside. Okay. All right. Need help? Okay.
You wanna do it again?
All right, so then, once you're done with the Nmap, you can close the app. Right? Not the Windows virtual machine. So now you can go home, you can start scanning everyone on your network. You can scan Android, you can scan, just find their IP address. Okay. All right. Let's talk about GP Edit. So GP Edit stands for Group Policy Editor. Okay. In Windows environment, you can search for everything. Okay, so when we search for GP Edit, it's gonna take you here. But if you search for group policy, it's gonna take you to this through here anyway, right? But however, if you look at the management console, I'm gonna show you the difference. Okay. This is
Are you ready?
so in the GP Edit, it shows you through the computer management console, right? Which is what we talked about before. Now, in the group policy management console, what you see is you would have these options, right? Anytime that you need to configure policy, that's the rules for your computer, you should always use computer configuration, okay? This is for the user only, okay? Wherever we set up things like people cannot shut down their computer when they're at work, or, cannot change their password after, or they have to change their password after 30 days, which is what we're gonna set up the password policy. It will be under computer configuration, okay?
You wanna put it in?
So once you're in GP Edit, you're gonna go through the group policy editor. And then you are gonna select computer configuration because it's for that system. So as I do that, when I click that here, I'm gonna expand Windows settings. Okay. And then inside it, I'm gonna go to security settings and security policy, right? Anytime you hear the term policy in this world, it's about rules, right? We're gonna set up rules for our computer. And then for the account, you're gonna set it up right here. Okay. Now, for the security settings and the account setting, and then we're gonna go to the password. So when we go into here, we're gonna go to password policy. Now, this is by default, this is what it's shipped with. Okay. So let's say that I want the user to make a new password periodically. They cannot reuse the same password. All I need to do is I need to change this rule, this policy. So I want to make them remember, they cannot use 5 last password, right? You see some website, they require this. So you just double click it or right click, and then you change the value for how many password you want it to remember. So if I don't want them to reuse the last 5 password, then I just change this. Okay. This is very important. Some interview, they will ask you about this. How do you change Windows policy? Right? Just say, oh, that's easy. Go to group policy editor. And say, well, for example, you can change your password policy under computer configuration, right? Windows settings, security settings. It should come to you naturally, right? So once I change the value, I click apply and okay. If you want to know what that is, just click explain it. It tells you what that is, right? Foolproof. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna change this to 5 last password it's gonna remember, so they cannot reuse their same password. Right, that's a good password practice. We're also gonna make sure that we are gonna change the maximum password age for 90 days. That means that once the 90 days is up, they have to change the password, right? They can change before. So if I'm an employee at the company, if I work there every 3 months, I have to change my password. I cannot use the last 5 passwords. Now, this might create password fatigue, right? People complain about, and then you have to reset the password, but that happens. Okay, so maximum password age, we can make this into 90 days. And then we are going to change the minimum password length. So by practice, nowadays 12 characters, right? But the bare minimum is 8 characters. I think people get a little confused when it's longer. Now you can also have an app to generate your complex password. Okay, so here, password length. I don't normally set this because I want the user to have the capability to reset their password like the day of, right? Like, let's say that I created a password, but I don't, I feel like that's a weak password. I can change it the next minute. Because if you change this to 1 day, that means that they have to wait till tomorrow in order to reset their password when they first logged in, right? When they first create their password. So just leave it 0 days is good, right? And then the password length changes to 8. And then we want it to be complex, upper, lower case with the symbols and numbers, right? So when I taught the Python class for security, I ran a script, and then it actually used the general list So it's able to guess names so quickly, right? Like when you saw this in Kane, it's so fast to even brute force the password. Okay, so what you do is you can set it. So all you have to do is toggle this to enable or click that radio button and then click OK. Right? So now we have set up the rules. But what I want you to see here is this is only one policy. That's just for password. It's the easiest one to learn, right? But you can also set up other things, okay? So when I want to set up for things that are related to system, so this is the rules on how we want to use the system to be used. We can also set up things as a template and be able to use the template to carry out the rules. This is kind of like how you have this model, right? Like when you're trying to teach a kid how to act a certain way, you want to use a model, right? An example. So this is a template where we can actually set up rights and everything that we need, okay? So if you want to be a Windows administrator, you have to get really good at this, especially Windows Security Administrator. Everything that you need to know, right? I can set up rules on how my storage is used, on how it can be accessed. You see that? For USB, I can set up redirection folder. So redirection folders are like, when I click a folder, it would take me to like a shared drive or something like that. Normally they do this for like department use. Okay. And then operating system shutdown right here, right? There's other shutdown options. So there's so many things that you can also set. And this is where a lot of the system fall down is because there's default settings. And there's not enough configuration that goes into. Now, when you tighten things too much, it can create other issues, but we have to think about like how these rules can be set to be able to meet the role. So in the case when we set group policy, that's rule-based, right? But then we want to match it for the role-based operation, okay? Now, account lockout, I really think that this is a good policy to set, right? You ever type in 3 password or 5 password and it's wrong and they make you wait like 30 minutes or an hour or sometimes 24 hours, right? That is really a way for us to buy time, right? Because you don't want people to brute force like every second in order to guess your password. That's what it is. So account lockout reduce, right? Reduce the opportunity for someone to brute force your password. So this is a very important rule to set. Okay. So account lockout policies here, all you have to do is you can put the duration, right? We can set it for 30 minutes, an hour. Any question? So after completing this lab, what did you learn about Nmap, right? You learn how to be able to operate quick scan, intense scan to identify your ports.
You gotta delete the file first. Because otherwise it's gonna start installing that.
Oh, it should be fine. You're good?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Just use scanme and map.org. Check out the www. Yes.
Otherwise, it's
The
gonna
way.
run out.
The automatically knows the code.
Yeah, you still gotta do the settings. Yeah, with that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, OS was often. No, the target OS, right, that IP address belongs to a computer and what often is on that. Why is it? What's wrong with it? Sorry?
I was doing it, right? So sensitive. I was trying to, create a folder on a drive. And I was doing a new item, you know, the new item. And I went back and looked at a previous like. Make sure that I got it.
Okay, I know some of you are almost finished. So let me stop recording and take attendance.
Because you don't have internet.
Oh,
Get the charger for the internet.